Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. This session is all about healing from the deep wounds of infidelity trauma. So, I'm here to guide you through a method that truly helped women reclaim their lives and gain some peace in this difficult time. Okay. So, we're going to get started. So, I wanted to introduce myself briefly. So, first of all, my name is Silke. I'm a trauma therapist. But more importantly, I've walked this path myself. So we're looking at these pictures right now. So when my children were very young, um, I experienced infidelity in my relationship and the painful aftermath firsthand. So if you're looking at the pictures here on the left-hand side, that's before I learned about the infidelity. This is about a year in. You can see I lost a lot of weight and it literally took everything I had out of me. Um, so this cause was very personal for me, and with my professional experience, it has allowed me to create this healing process for you. Okay, here's a picture of me with a dog I was fostering. I watched him for a week. Anyway, I loved nature, and he was really a great hiking buddy. And here's a picture of me and my now two grown boys at the 4th of July. Okay. So I wanted to share a little bit about my story with you so you can relate and resonate to a certain extent. And I also wanted to uh, share with you that I've been working as a trauma therapist and coach for years, for 10 years or more now. And so I've worked with a lot of women that have experienced all kinds of trauma. And therefore, I understand, how trauma works and what doesn't, or what's more effective than other treatments. And so, therefore, I've developed this program here um, for you to take part in, and it really changes things. So I wish I would have had that back then, but I didn't, but I was able to create this for you. So I'm really kind of excited about sharing that with you. Okay. All right. So um, infidelity often goes unnoticed, or it's the trauma is not noticed, or it's misunderstood. It can cause all kinds of different things, such as obsessive thoughts, intense self-doubt, difficulty trusting others and yourself, and most importantly, also a deep loss of identity. So many women feel lost and broken without realizing it's trauma causing these feelings. So talking about it often is not enough. It helps, but trauma is stored in your body. So talking alone rarely brings full healing. Okay. That's why my method integrates body based healing alongside emotional and mental work. Okay, so part of that program that we're doing is we identify personal triggers and patterns, we incorporate holistic healing practices. We build a supportive community and network. We have a Facebook group that you get to be part of, as well as there's a group inside of the course. There is some alternative therapeutic methods that I will introduce you to. They go under coping skills such as EFT tapping, there's breathing, there's meditation, journaling, etc., etc. Okay. What is important at this point is that you prioritize your self care. And with that increased self care comes greater awareness in our process and what we're going through. Okay, so Men and Rise uses, like I said before, somatic processing to help you release trauma that is stored in your body. It also includes techniques like EFT tapping, meditation, journaling to support and help you release emotional um, tension that you're holding and also help you self-regulate. Plus, it has tools to help you track your progress, okay, that will help you keep you motivated and also create some awareness of where you are with your growth. All right, so the 6 week course that I've built, okay, I have built that based on my experience with my clients and the strategy that I use to help them get through this process as good as possible. So the 6 week guide uh, goes through reconnecting with yourself. That's what we start out, okay? And then um, some coping tools. I'll share some coping tools with you. There's guided journaling and also emotional self regulation is part of that first week, okay? Um, Week 2 focuses on building boundaries, um, helping you to reclaim your peace by setting clear boundaries. We help you assess like what are some boundaries that might be weak or that are not existing and that we now need to set. Often what happens in a relationship, we don't really think about these things until they're being overstepped. Okay, once these boundaries are being overstepped, we recognize that um, we have to set these now because in order for us to be able to heal, okay, so it's really important that we set healthy boundaries at this point so we can take care of our own healing process. Okay. Week number 3, I called that Feel It to Heal It, which is very, very powerful. It focuses on allowing yourself to connect with yourself and so you can actually feel your emotions. Sometimes what will happen is that when people are experiencing this betrayal, they disconnect from their feelings and they're not feeling anything. And sometimes they think maybe they don't really care or they don't really love this person anymore. But the truth is that they are just not feeling. Okay. So sometimes it's our body's um, way of protecting ourselves that has learned to kind of disconnect from your emotions in order for it to survive or to do okay. Okay, so sometimes you might have that kind of trauma response. And so in this chapter, Feel It to Heal It, we're learning, to help you reconnect with yourself so you can feel your emotions and you can heal them. Okay. All right. Week 4 focuses on triggers. Okay. This is a really important one. Knowing what your emotional triggers are, and then learning how to work through those. Okay. So with increased awareness, we are much more we're learning about what our emotional triggers are, meaning what is something that is uh, having a response that might be a little bit outside of what we would consider normal. Okay. And we'll learn how to identify those. I'll help you to be more clear about what are these triggers, what's underneath it. Where do they come from? Where do they originate at? Okay, a lot of times our emotional relationship triggers come from our childhood, okay, or they come from past relationships. So with that awareness, we can make changes, okay? So that's what week 4 is all about. Week number 5 is all about breaking this cycle, okay? So we have been in these patterns that kept us stuck in a relationship. So And often what happens, we get so frustrated in these relationship patterns because we do not know how to get out of them. We don't know how to do something different. And we try to do the same thing over and over, and nothing ever changes, which often will lead to relationship burnout. And that's where also the infidelity often comes in. Okay. And this comes from both sides, it doesn't come just from one side. Okay. So we will actually put some steps into place where you can recognize what are some limiting beliefs that you have that are keeping you stuck. And then we help you shift those. Okay. Last one is week 6. And I love week 6 because it's all about self compassion. Okay. And also building that self trust that we have lost. Okay. So, self compassion is something that is so important because right now we're going through a really difficult time, and often we are our biggest critic. Okay. Um, and having that compassion with ourselves in that process is really, really essential. That's what we call that self love, that self compassion. And it will help us regain some of that emotional safety that we might have lost initially. Okay. But this time, that emotional safety is coming from within us, which is very, very powerful because sometimes we give that power to this other person that we're in a relationship with. And then if this other person betrays us, then we lose that safety. When we have that safety within ourselves, or we can find that within ourselves, then we are a lot more powerful in regards to relationships in general.
I first found out about my husband's affair, it felt like I'd been hit by a
All
bus,
right, so
completely
now I have
blindfolded.
a
I was
transformational story
angry,
here
sad,
from one of my
numb, and
clients that I wanted
totally
to share
broken.
with you.
At first, I was
Um,
angry.
I
Then the
was
sadness
inspired to put
came.
this
I
program
couldn't
together
believe he would do this to me.
because,
Was I
well,
not good
partially
enough?
of my own
What did I do
experience, but
wrong?
then also
Why was this
of
happening to me?
so
I
many
had
women
so
that I
many
have
questions
seen
and felt lost and
in the
stuck.
past that have
I
gone
didn't
through
know how to
that
move forward.
um,
Should I
with
stay or
very
should I
limited
go?
help.
Every day the trauma was
I've
there.
also
I
ran
was
into
drowning.
many, many women
I
that
found Silke, and for the
really were
first
never able
time,
to
I
heal
felt
that, and
understood. She helped me focus
attending
on
like
what I can
events
control
where
and what
they
I
have to
can,
see their
and
ex is
taught me
very
how
challenging
important it
for
is to
them.
set boundaries to
They've
protect
had
myself. I
20,
learned
30
about the
years of
underlying reasons
very
behind my
painful
relationship
co-parenting
patterns, how to
experiences,
cope with my
and then
triggers, and
also
most importantly, how to have compassion for myself. I first
facing
found
these
out about my
issues
husband's
in new
affair. It
relationships.
felt like
So
I'd been
having
hit by a bus,
unhealed the
completely
trauma,
blindfolded.
and then
I was
not
angry,
being able
sad,
to get
numb, and
past
totally broken. At first, I
these
was angry.
initial
Then the sadness
stages in
came.
new
I couldn't
relationships.
believe he would do this to
So
me. Was I not good
here I
enough?
have
What did I do
one
wrong?
of my clients
Why was
that
this happening to me?
um,
I had
I
so
want you
many
to listen
questions and
to.
felt
She
lost and
shares her
stuck.
experience,
I didn't
and
know
I'm
how to
going to
move
go ahead and
forward.
play that for you
Should
right
I
now.
stay or should I go? Every day the trauma was there. I was drowning. I found Silke, and for the first time, I felt understood.
Okay, let's see
She
why
helped me
it's not
focus
free.
on what I
Okay,
can
let's pause.
control. When I first found out about my husband's affair, it felt like I'd been hit by a bus, completely blindfolded. I was angry, sad, numb, and totally broken. At first, I was angry. Then the sadness came. I couldn't believe he would do this to me. Was I not good enough? What did I do wrong? Why was this happening to me? I had so many questions and felt lost and stuck. I didn't know how to move forward. Should I stay or should I go? Every day the trauma was there. I was drowning. I found Silke, and for the first time, I felt understood. She helped me focus on what I can control and what I can't, and taught me how important it is to set boundaries to protect myself. I learned about the underlying reasons behind my relationship patterns, how to cope with my triggers, and most importantly, how to have compassion for myself. When I first found out about my husband's affair, it felt like I'd been hit
All
by
right,
a
so this
bus,
was a story from one
completely
of my
blindfolded.
clients,
I was
okay, and
angry, sad,
she
numb, and
was
totally broken. At
in a very
first, I was
difficult
angry.
place,
Then the
and she was
sadness
able
came.
to move
I couldn't
forward.
believe he
Okay,
would do this to me.
so
Was I not good enough?
even though
What did
people
I
are
do wrong?
going through,
Why was this
you
happening to
know,
me? I had
this
so many
program,
questions and felt
we have to
lost and
also
stuck.
remember
I didn't know how to move forward.
the
Should I
healing can
stay
take a
or should I
really
go?
long time.
Every day,
Okay,
the trauma
so
was there. I was
there's
drowning.
people, like I said
I found
before, that
Silke, and
it
for the
takes
first
forever. I
time,
mean,
I
it
felt
takes 10,
understood.
20
She
years.
helped me
Okay, and
focus
that's
on what
really
I can
kind of sad
control
because
and
they
what I
never get
can't,
to move
and
forward.
taught me how
Okay,
important it is to set
um,
boundaries to protect myself.
so when we
I
have
learned
something that
about the
can help
underlying
us
reasons behind my relationship
address
patterns,
some of these
how to
things
cope with my
earlier
triggers,
on,
and most
we're much more
importantly, how to have
likely to
compassion for
recover a
myself.
lot quicker.
When I first found
Okay,
out about my
and that
husband's
recovery is
affair, it
important.
felt like I'd been
You know, of
hit by a
course, it's
bus,
really important for
completely
us, but it's
blindfolded.
also
I was
important for
angry, sad,
if you have
numb, and
children, for
totally broken.
example,
At
okay, and you
first, I
have
was
to
angry.
co-parent, or
Then the
even if you're
sadness
not
came. I
co-parenting,
couldn't
okay,
believe he would do
it's
this to me.
important that you
Was I not
heal
good
that
enough? What
hurt
did I do
within
wrong?
yourself,
Why was this happening to me?
as well
I
as
had
for
so many
future
questions and felt
relationships.
lost
Okay,
and
so
stuck.
I don't
I
know if
didn't
you
know
can
how to move
relate to
forward.
that, but
Should I
you know, when we
stay
go
or
out
should
into
I
the
go?
dating world and we
Every
meet
day,
somebody
the
that
trauma was
hasn't
there.
healed their
I was
trauma,
drowning. I found
they're truly
Silke,
not
and for the first
giving this
time, I
other
felt
person a
understood.
real
She
fair
helped me
chance
focus
of,
on what I can control
you
and what
know,
I can't,
getting to
and
know
taught
them,
me how
because they get
important it
triggered
is to
so many
set boundaries to
times
protect myself.
because they have
I
all
learned
these
about the
unhealed
underlying
wounds that
reasons behind my
it's almost
relationship patterns,
impossible to
how to
form new
cope with my
relationships,
triggers,
no matter
and
how
most
great that
importantly,
person
how to
is.
have compassion
Okay?
for myself.
All
When I
right.
first found out
You
about
will
my
also
husband's
have, like I
affair,
said, a
it
supportive
felt like I'd
community.
been
There's a
hit by a
Facebook
bus,
community that we'll
completely
ask you to
blindfolded.
join.
I was angry,
There
sad,
will be
numb, and totally broken. At first, I was angry.
support
Then
within
the
the
sadness
app
came.
where
I
you can
couldn't
go at
believe he would do
the
this to
course where
me.
you can
Was I not
text
good enough? What did I do wrong?
and you can
Why
share
was
with
this
each other
happening to me?
if you
I had
choose to. You
so
don't
many
have to do any
questions
of
and
these,
felt
but
lost and
it is
stuck.
available to
I
you.
didn't know how to
Okay?
move forward.
All right. So now let's get to the hidden wounds of infidelity. Okay, so this is really important. I'm going to name three of the hidden wounds that most women will carry after infidelity, so you can understand what's really driving your pain. Okay, so we have what we call the identity shatter. Okay, the big question is, who am I now? Okay, there's a lot of loss of self worth, self trust, and clarity. It shows up as shame, questioning yourself, perfectionism, and sometimes people pleasing. Okay, so let me share what this looks like in real life because it's often not obvious from the outside. So, for example, okay, there was Sarah, 42 years old, a teacher and mother of two. She had always seen herself as strong, intuitive, and grounded. And after discovering her husband's affair, she spiraled into self doubt. She told me, I feel like I lost the woman I used to be. Now I question every decision, even what I make for dinner. So she wasn't just grieving the relationship, she was grieving the version of herself that felt confident and whole. That's the identity wound. So the sense that the betrayal didn't just break your heart, it fractures your sense of you. And this is what we refer to the identity shatter. Okay? And this is often part of the infidelity, okay? Because everything changes, right? We used to be part of a relationship, a partner that we trusted. Now we are um, taken out of that. This is no longer existing. That relationship no longer exists. Not the way it was before. Okay. Now we have the safety collapse, which is also really important. Okay. So um, what happens? We don't feel safe in our bodies or in relationships in general. Okay. So our nervous system is stuck in survival mode or freeze, or some people are hyper vigilant, meaning they're like super tense and overactive. or there's emotional numbness. So let's talk about Elena. She's 38 and she's a business owner. And she said, I can't stop checking his location. Even when he's in the shower, I feel panic rising in my chest. Before the betrayal, she'd run a thriving business and felt in control of her life. Afterward, she couldn't sleep, she couldn't focus, and constantly felt on edge. Her body was stuck in survival mode. That's the nervous system reacting to betrayal as a threat. It doesn't matter how smart or strong you are. This is what I call the safety collapse. Okay? Because what we put our safety in was into this relationship and that dynamic. And that is no longer existing. All right. And the third one is what we call the emotional fog. Okay? So people can't think clearly or feel like they're themselves anymore. There's obsessive thinking, emotional disconnection. That means not feeling anything, or feeling crazy, like crying all the time or wanting to scream all the time. And so at this point, trauma is unresolved and they're just spinning. Okay, so the story that I have here is Jasmine, 50 years old, and she's a nurse. Okay, she told me, I used to be the one everyone came for advice, and now I can't even make small decisions. I feel like I'm floating outside my body half the time. She wasn't crying all the time. She wasn't angry. She just felt disconnected from herself. She couldn't feel joy, clarity, or even trust her thoughts. This is what happens when your brain and body are trying to process a trauma you haven't had the tools to work through. And that's the emotional fog. All right, so if any of these feel true for you, know that you're not broken. You are in trauma, and naming it is the first step towards healing. This is the work we do in the RISE pathway. So I want you to go ahead and take a breath and think for a moment, like which one of these stories resonated with you the most? Was it the identity shatter, like questioning who you are now? The safety collapse, meaning your body is actually in survival mode? Or is it the emotional fog? Okay, go ahead and write that down for yourself. And we're going to continue here with more on the next slide. Okay. All right, so this is your little reflection exercise, and this is an example of what we do inside of the course. Okay, so the 6-week course has these types of exercises in it that will help you reflect on what's going on. Okay, so if you have named your wound, okay, feeling the identity shattered, the safety collapse, or the emotional fog, now we're going to go a little further. So I want you to ask yourself, how has this wound been showing up in your daily life? Okay, go ahead and write this down. Maybe take a piece of paper and then write this down. Ask yourself that question. And then the next question is, what do I need right now to feel seen, soothed, or just to feel safe? Okay, and that's really important. Sometimes we have people that can make us feel that way, but sometimes we have to do this for ourselves. So, what is it that we need to do to feel that way? Okay, what do we need to feel safe? How can we soothe uh, our brain, maybe our thoughts? What do we need to do there? Our body, and then who makes us feel seen? Okay, who's good at that? Maybe make contact with that person if they're good at that. Now, the last one is, if you could speak to this part of yourself with compassion, what would you say? Okay, so a lot of times when I ask that question to my clients, that's really difficult for them to answer. So what I do is I say, okay, imagine what you're going through has happened to your friend. Okay, your friend, your best friend. So what is something that you feel like you would want to tell them right now? Okay, go ahead and write this down. Okay, and then that is something that you can use to speak to yourself. Okay, and that's really important because that's what we call self compassion. And sometimes we're really harsh on ourselves. And sometimes it's because of maybe the people that we're talking to or our own criticism. Okay. So I want you to be kind to that friend, and then whatever words you're using for them, go ahead and use those for yourself. Go ahead and journal this out. Okay. And then when you're done with that, I want you just to take about 5 minutes and do some breathing. Just breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in with your nose and then breathe out. And then tell yourself, it makes sense that I feel this way. And I'm learning to reconnect with myself. And so, what that does, it helps you validate how you feel. And however you're feeling right now, that is your own personal experience. And nobody gets to decide what that's going to be like for you. Okay. And so that is valid. All right. Before we end, I want to quickly show you the Mend and Rise app where you access all the tools and the community support. Okay. So the course is very comprehensive. It's, like I said before, it's 6 weeks with a lot of content. It is structured in an easy way. So I have structured it in a way where you have, you don't need more than 30 minutes a day to take part in the course. There is some content, like usually Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we'll have some content, meaning you're learning some new things. There's going to be some journaling prompts. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it is going to be like hands on. So we're doing coping skills, and I do them with you. I show you how to do them, and then you get to practice them so you can implement them into your life, which is going to make your life a lot easier. Okay. But I will go over that in detail. I will show you exactly what to expect in my course. All right. Okay, so and the supportive features in my app are really awesome as well, and I'm going to go over those with you too. There's interactive tools, there's personalized support, and then there's also the community. Okay, so after watching this, even if you felt like you gained a little bit of insight, that's just basically that first spark of what is to come. Okay, so when you finish this webinar here, I will send you access to my mini course, which is free. Um, It's called A New Chapter, Rewrite Your Story, which will give you some information and a little bit of free content. Okay. And then I also will give you a download, what to do right after the discovery. Okay. And these are just some suggestions on how to handle things. Sometimes we get some really bad advice from people. Okay. And we learn it the hard way. And so I want you to have that so you don't have to go that route. Okay. All right. Very good. And then I want to invite you to go ahead and get this course that I have. It's a 6-week trauma informed program. You have access to it unlimited. Um, there's going to be live calls, meaning we have in our Facebook group, there's going to be every week a Q&A session. There's journal prompts, there's guided practices, and the bonus is that you also have a supportive community. Okay, the price right now is only $149, and this is for our founding members. This is a new program I put together, so for your feedback, quality feedback, okay, you're receiving a discount, okay, and that's only going to be for the first, I don't know, 10 to 20 people, okay. And I will send you all this information in this email as well, so you can access that. I want you to thank you for investing your time and energy in yourself today. Remember, you're not alone, and healing is absolutely possible. I'm looking forward to doing this with you on this journey. And most importantly, I wanted to bring this to women all over the world so they have access to something that, a lot of times only people that are privileged to be able to afford this kind of content. I mean, the one-on-one sessions, et cetera, et cetera. So this is really good quality content. And if you are taking this seriously and you really are working on yourself, these are very foundational pillars for your own mental health and your own success. All right, wonderful. Thank you for your time today. I'm glad you got to watch this today. And I will include a link, etc., in the email so you can go ahead and purchase or even access the free material if that's what you want to do. Okay? All right, I appreciate your time today, and you have a good day.